ask you something. When you hear the word money, what's the first feeling that comes up? Anxiety, guilt, shame, stress? Most of us were never taught about how to feel good about money. We were taught how to survive it, how to hide it, and even how to perform around it. I am Angelique, a financial strategist and consultant, a certified educator, and a daughter of St. Martin. And in this episode of Becoming a Better Ancestor, we're going on a path that most financial advice won't take you, down to the history, the psychology, and the inherited beliefs about money that shape how us as Caribbean people think about money today. Because here's the truth, right? Your money mindset didn't start with you. It started generations ago, and understanding it is the first step of being able to rewrite it. So let's start with what nobody wants to talk about at the dinner table, right? For hundreds of years, our ancestors were deliberately kept out of the financial system. Banks were not built for us. Economic systems did not have us in mind. And of course, financial education was reserved for the elite, quote unquote, the colonizers and their children. And for generations, Caribbean people were locked out of that knowledge. So when you see a grandmother saving money under her mattress, that was not ignorance. That was her learning that the bank system wasn't built for her, and of course that she couldn't trust the banks. So that lesson that was passed down, don't sleep on it. This brings us to something that many of us grew up with, cash culture. In the Caribbean, cash isn't just convenient, it's protection. It's if you don't trust the government, or if the bank fail, or even if we say if a hurricane hit and mash up your house and the insurance company just disappear overnight. You have to keep your money, of course, where you can see it and where you can feel safe. And for us, that's having cash. But here's where it gets complicated, right? Cash culture, it only keeps us safe in the short term. But in the long term, we have no investments, no credit history, and no compound interest working in our favor because all our money is saved in cash. Our distrust in institutions was earned. But the question now is, how long are we going to allow this distrust to limit us? Or should we learn how to work the system while protecting ourselves? I think that's a question worth answering. Now, let's talk about something that we all recognize, but rarely talk about out loud. The pressure to look successful. You know, the new car in the driveway, the new designer bag, the big party where we know our bank account telling us no. But where does this mindset come from? It stems from people telling us as people of color that we weren't worth anything. And of course, to prove that we are worth something, we had to show it, right? But here is how this mindset does really cost us, right? Instead of actually building wealth, we actually spending it to look as though we are building it. And on the flip side, instead of saving it to be free, we end up in the shackles of debt, and that keep us trapped in this cycle of keeping up with the Joneses. And of course, I want you to hear me clearly, right? Because nothing at all is wrong with having nice things and wanting nice things. But when wanting those nice things are keeping you trapped instead of saving and building wealth, then that's where the issue comes in. You know, another inherited belief is that money is hard to come by. If you grew up hearing that money doesn't grow on trees and you have to work hard for every dollar, that belief lives in your nervous system, and every financial decision that you make is affected by it. This scarcity mindset, it makes us hoard instead of investing. It makes us believe that any good opportunity that come our way is too good to be true because you need to work hard to make any type of form of money. And it also keeps us playing small when we should be dreaming big, because dreaming big is too fearful and too big for us. And the cruelest part of it all, this scarcity mindset was installed in us by systems that benefited from keeping us small, right? However, changing our mindset is not abandoning our upbringing, right? It's more so honoring our ancestors and making sure that we don't remain limited. And then there's this belief that hits home for a lot of us, right? That expectation that if you're doing well financially, you need to help everybody. All of a sudden, your cousin tie your knee fixing, your aunt building a house and she need blocks, and your parents they're depending on your support. And if you even dare to say no, oh God, you forget where you come from, and all of a sudden you feel you're bigger than people. And don't get me wrong, family support can be really, really beautiful. But you only have this expectation that when one person is doing well, they all of a sudden need to help everybody. We need to stop and ask the question of how will we ever be able to build wealth and break cycles if we constantly giving up money that keeping us back from actually building some type of wealth. Setting boundaries with your money isn't at all selfish, right? You can't pour from an empty cup no more than you can pour from an empty bank account. And of course, if you're not building your wealth foundation, how will we as people of color, especially Caribbean people, move forward? We need to start to break the cycle somewhere. So, what do you do with all of this, right? First of all, you name it. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. Every single belief about money that you realize by watching this episode, write it down. And then sit down and try to understand where this belief comes from and if it's still serving you, yes or no. Secondly, we should separate our identity from our behaviors, right? Your worth is not your self-worth. And also, if you have a bank loan, that doesn't mean that you're a bad person. We need to separate our financial behaviors from who we are as individuals because as humans, we learn different beliefs and traits, and some things that we know now can be unlearned and replaced with new habits. Third, we get educated, and not from a place of shame, but from a place of power. And becoming financially literate does not mean that you become somebody that you're totally not and somebody new. It's literally about having the tools to build a life that you want for yourself. So, here are some truths to carry forward, right? Wanting nice things, nothing is wrong with that as long as they don't own you. Distrust of banks was smart, but now we need to reframe our mind and see how we can use banks for our benefit. And also, making money doesn't have to be hard. It can be a tool that we use to build the life that we want for ourselves. And also, building wealth isn't betraying our roots. It's actually honoring them. You have the power to change your family's financial story, and not by pretending that the past didn't happen, but by making a conscious effort to rewrite and understand where your money mindset comes from and what needs to change so that you can have a better relationship with money. Being a better ancestor means healing your relationship with money so that you could pass down wisdom instead of passing down fear. Sharing knowledge instead of confusion, and freedom instead of fear. So I'll leave you with this. What's one money belief that you inherited that you're ready to part ways with? Until next time, build different, leave a legacy, and become a better ancestor.